facts you didn't know about Rolex. Welcome back to 13 Facts, the place for facts-based videos from around the world. We've got you covered because nobody will ever fool you again. Today, we present you 13 facts you didn't know about Rolex. Rolex's story began when founder Hans Wilsdorf created the first waterproof wristwatch, the Oyster, and developed into a range of timepieces that have become icons of watchmaking. Discover Rolex watches on the wrists of pioneers, artists, athletes, and visionaries and journey to the very highest summits and the deepest part of the oceans. Well, let's get straight to the facts. Fact number 1. Rolex was not founded in Switzerland. For a brand that is today known as the top luxury Swiss watchmaker, it might come as a surprise that the company didn't start out in Switzerland, nor that the founders were Swiss. Rolex was founded in London, England by Alfred Davis and Hans Wilsdorf in 1905. The company didn't start out as Rolex though. The company first started out as Wilsdorf and Davis. In 1919, however, Rolex's story as a Swiss watchmaker began. As the company relocated to Geneva, Switzerland due to wartime taxes, which were levied on luxury imports, mainly silver and gold. Fact number 2. Rolex started out as a company which assembled watches. At first, Rolex didn't make watches, they merely assembled them. The company purchased movements of Hermann Egler's Swiss movements and put the movement into cases which were made by Dennison as well as other manufacturers. The watches were then sold to jewelers. Fact number 3. All Rolex watches are handmade. Even in the industrial era we live in, where machines that can do most tasks, Rolex's watches are still handmade. Rolex watches are meticulously and carefully crafted and put together to make sure they meet the high standards that Rolex is looking to keep. Essentially, everything for the Rolex watches is made in-house. The most complicated and lengthy process is for a watchmaker to assemble the advanced movements that are fitted inside of a Rolex watch. To make sure they meet the high demands, they are lastly independently tested. Fact number 4. All movements by Rolex are assembled by hand. The skilled watchmakers of Rolex assemble each of their movements by hand. Back in the days, Rolex bought movements externally for some of its models, but today, they are all made in-house, which means that all movements used in Rolex's modern watches are made by Rolex themselves. Considering the high volume of watches that Rolex produces, it's hard to believe that each of the movements is assembled by hand, but it is certainly a proof of the immense quality and attention to detail that goes into making these watches. Fact number 5. All Rolex watches are photographed with at the time 10 past 10. If you look at all the Rolex watches photographed, you'll notice that all of them are set to 10 past 10 and with the second hand at 31 seconds. This is known as the official Rolex time. If the watches has a date function, the date is always set to the 28th, and if it has a day function, such as in DayDate, the day is always set to Monday. The reasons for these are simple. First off, it becomes a trademark and iconic trait of Rolex's watches, but most important is the aesthetic look that it gives. The hands are set to a position where they are symmetrical and at the same time perfectly frame the logo, which can always be found at 12 o'clock. Fact number 6. Rolex is a charity. In 1944, Hans Wilsdorf founded the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation and was founded in 1944 after the death of his wife. The ownership of Rolex is now the subject to the foundation, and clear guidelines for how the finances should be handled are set up. Since Swiss law says that private charities don't need to disclose about their respective charities, the donations of the Rolex Foundation are kept a secret. Fact number 7. Rolex's headquarters has higher security than a high-level security prison. The reasons for these are many, but one of them is the fact that the headquarters holds bars of ever rose gold worth $1 million. The headquarters has employee fingerprint scanners, bank vault doors, iris scanners, and unmarked armored trucks to move Rolex parts from location to location. Fact number 8. The Rolex watch that Roger Moore wore during the James Bond movie Live and Let Die was auctioned off for €178,000. Roger Moore wore a Rolex Submariner 5513, which was made especially for him as James Bond in the 1973 film Live and Let Die. Fact number 9. In 2017, the most expensive Rolex watch sold for $17,752,500. This sale broke all records and resulted in the most expensive rich watch ever sold at an auction. Fact number 10. Rolex released the first watch able to automatically change both day and date on the dial. The model? The Rolex DayDate, of course. This was with the DayDate release in 1956. Fact number 11. The languages available are English, German, Arabic, Chinese, Danish, Spanish, Basque, Catalan, Ethiopian, Finnish, French, Greek, Hebrew, Dutch, Indonesian, Italian, Japanese, Latin, Moroccan, Norwegian, Farsi, even Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Swedish, and Turkish. Fact number 12. Rolex still uses 4 eyes instead of IV on its Roman numeral dials. The 4 eyes is known as the clockmaker's 4. The reason is that of aesthetics and symmetrical balance. And lastly, fact number 13. Rolex has been to the deepest point in the ocean. If you thought going to 10,916 during the Bathyscaphe mission was a lot, you'll be surprised to hear that a Rolex watch has gone even deeper than that. In 2012, James Cameron descended into the Mariana Trench on his Deep Sea Challenge mission. As he did so, he wore a Rolex Deep Sea Challenge, a timepiece which was guaranteed waterproof to a depth of 12,000 meters or 39,370 feet. Through the whole 7-hour journey, the Rolex kept the time flawlessly. Thank you for spending some time with us and watching our video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so you'll never miss a video. If you have any other subject you would like to know more about, feel free to leave it for us in the comments. Now subscribe and like this video for more. See you next time!